I wish we could be like a fly on the wall to see what good old Coach Mike is saying because
Screw me to fly. I want to be a goddamn hornet on the wall so I can go sting somebody a few times before I die.
a few
Because
times.
a bee can only sting somebody sting once and then it dies. I
But what
believe
if
like
they're
hornets and wasps.
allergic? Like I'm allergic to bees.
Well, okay, I don't want to hurt nobody. Actually,
No,
I need somebody to slap some sense in some of these boys right now.
because we are hurting. The Seahawks are coming off another loss to the Rams, another divisional game, which are crucial, like we mentioned before, because it is such a tight race in the NFC West. Lots of miscommunication, low
It's
vibes.
it's a tight race where in the blink of an eye we could be in the front, leading the race first place to dead last now.
And you would
Yeah,
think like it's week 9, right? It's week 9. So
tis is.
I don't know. I just think that there should be more of a change, or are we trying to change too much? We're 4-5, which is never good to be below 500. We're 2-4 at home, which is not good. We're never that terrible at home. Yeah, we lost in overtime, which we'll talk about that, but the first half was a defensive game pretty much. And I was in Japan, so I could not watch. I've been very frustrated with my YouTube Sunday game ticket. I paid a lot of money for that, and I've only been able to watch it a couple times. But anyways, I was in Japan, so I was listening to it, and I was listening to the LA 710 radio YouTube people. And it was very interesting listening to it, I think, from the LA point of view, which was kind of cool because I can hear what they were saying about our team as well, and we'll get into that later as well. But listening
Ooh.
to games is kind of nostalgic because I feel like riding in the car with my dad, and just the commentators are so great, and you kind of get the feel of the game. So it's a little bit different, but obviously I couldn't see a lot what was happening, but
Unless it's
very
Troy Aikman.
frustrating. What was that? Unless it's Troy Aikman.
Unless it's Troy Aikman, I gotta turn his shit all the way down. He's been better this year, but I actually have heard that across the NFL on many teams, he's just a hater, man. Oh my gosh, shut up.
Oh, is he? He kind of. Yeah, I don't want to say he looks
Anyways,
like he would be a hater, but he looks like he would be a hater.
White Jay Z. You ever seen a side by side with Troy Aikman and Jay Z? Like they actually look
What?
like identical. Troy Aikman and Jay Z's headshots side by side. It looks like
Is
a
it
white
because
and black version of.
they kind of have like a saggy like face?
They have the saggy face, the same, believe it or not, very similar lips in that picture that I saw. If you Google it, it'll be the first thing that
Okay,
pops up. It's really funny.
I'll Google it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
Google it later.
Anyways, enough about that. Enough about that,
Alright.
loser.
The loser. If we look at the numbers of the game, it looks pretty similar until we get to sacks allowed, interceptions. Those are what killed us. We'll talk about penalties. We'll talk about turnovers. Those are what is killing us in our game today. Let's talk about play call. Let's talk about coaching really quick, though. I think there's a lot of people that are talking about our offense, and because Grubb has come from a college style offense and that he's trying to bring it to the NFL, and it's just not working. But we're constantly seeing it week after week after week. Nothing is changing. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing is changing. Do you think that they're trying to change anything, or do you think they're trying to just make it work right now?
There's reasons why certain type of offenses work at the high school level, they work at the
Mhm.
college level, and then there's the NFL level. Okay. For example, in high school, Bellevue High School is the king of the wing tee, at least back in my days. And they were
Mhm.
dethroning top ranked high schools from all around the countries with this wing tee offense. It's unstoppable, just a lot of misdirection. College, nobody does that shit now because it's a lot more disciplined and nobody falls for the misdirection. Okay. In fact,
Mm.
on the wing tee, if you just follow the guards, they pretty much tell you where the play's going. Anyways, so then in college, they do a lot of spread offense, they do a lot of read
Mhm.
option, and that's where Chip Kelly, for example, he was notorious for the read option of Marcus Mariota, Jeremiah Masoli, all these awesome quarterbacks, and it worked like a gem in college. Brings
Mhm.
that shit over to the Philadelphia Eagles. What does he do there? He cleans house with them. First of all, gets rid of Shady McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, all their star
Mm,
players, and tries to run his like very controlled. This is my new program. I'm gonna run this read option to a T. And how did that work out for him? Okay, his ass is back in college. Now you have somebody like Grubb. I will say this: I was very excited about his offense just because there was a lot of things that I didn't really recognize, and I love watching film. I know a lot about reading offenses. However, there's a lot of formations and shifts that I just is really hard to follow. Now, if there's anybody that can learn to adjust with these things, they're NFL coaches, and it's only going to
right.
last for so long. You know,
Mhm.
people when Russell Wilson got the read option going, and back in the glory days with him and Marshawn Lynch, they couldn't stop it. The Russell Wilson had I don't even know how many rushing yards he had, but he would either give it off to Marshawn or keep it. But then players knew how to stop the read option, and so we have to adjust. What's not happening right now is we are not adjusting to what their adjustment. We are not adjusting on offense to what the defense is adjusting to us. If that makes sense.
Right. Yep,
Okay,
that makes total sense. And I
so
think that so when I was listening to the YouTube, Maurice Jones
Jones Drew.
Drew was one of the commentators, and he was like, "The Seahawks need to get out of this college style offense." He specifically said that because, like, he was saying that Geno was like, whatever we're gonna do, hike the ball or whatever. He was waiting for the defense to do something, and then he looks to the sideline for the play call, and
Mm-hmm.
then he goes. So all these other commentators in other states and cities and teams are saying the same thing over and over and over again. So do you think they're going to just keep this offense, or do you think they're going to actually try to adjust?
I think they'll try to adjust because it is showing that people are catching on very quick on how to at least slow it down, if not stop it completely. The
Mhm.
reality is, as crappy as the numbers look against our O line and Geno Smith, he is actually lighting up the boards as far as like passing yards and all these other completions, attempts versus completions. Like he's lighting it up. It looks good on paper, but when you look at the whole
Mhm.
grand scheme of things, it doesn't look that good.
Mhm.
So I think there's just part of me. You gotta be at some point. You gotta go NFL football.
Right.
Get two running backs, one tight end, maybe two tight ends, and just here's the play. We're gonna freaking run it and smash somebody's mouth while we're trying to do so, And
Right.
my ding's bigger than yours. It's gonna be one of those, who
Mhm.
the whole pissing match. Who can piss further? We're gonna piss everybody. That's the mindset you gotta have. So,
Right. And then speaking
um,
of O-line, I think O-line has always been an issue with the Seahawks, and we talked about this earlier with Mike, like,
since Pete
ugh,
Carroll, since
right. Why why do you think that the Seahawks are not putting money into that position where it could be so crucial, right? If we had a great O-line, it could open up the door for our running backs. It could open up the door for our quarterback to throw to our receivers. It could just open up the door for so many more options. Why is it I know we've been such a defensive team since, Legion of Boom and all that, but obviously there's more elements to a team than just defense. Like, you have to have a good offense. You need to score points. So do you think Schneider, I don't wanna call it out Schneider, but I'm gonna call him out. Are we making good decisions? What was our first 2 draft picks last year?
this past season, shit, my brain isn't thinking right now.
They were 2 weren't they 2 receiver or 2 running backs?
We got oh my god. Fuck. We might have to give me ones. While you're
Yeah, Google
talking,
it
I'm gonna
really
pull that
quick.
up
But yeah, we
because
were
I keep
talking about that. O lineman, why are we not putting money into that position where they protect our quarterback, where they just protect our quarterback? Geno needs more than 2.2 seconds in the pocket to do something. It's just really frustrating, and it's definitely a topic that we talk about every single season. Everybody, multiple channels, we're all talking about it. Why are not we not doing that? Like, what goes on inside their head?
it's kind of like there's sometimes where people like to, I guess, cheat in certain areas. And what I mean by that
Mm,
is if I
yeah.
can if I can pay this man a little bit of money over here, maybe it'll like offset or overcompensate a little bit for my lack in O-line performance,
Mhm,
and I
mhm.
think there's a lot of that going on. It's like at some point, this is one of my favorite times where, not to go bask in the Legion of Boom era, but there was a time
Bask in
where
it.
our receivers were called pedestrian. You had Jermaine Curse, you had Doug, you had Golden Tate, even going back to right before Sidney Rice left, and the next generation started coming in.
Mhm.
Like they were called pedestrian receivers. But the crazy thing was that old line, even though Russell was running around for his life a lot, if you ask, if you watch a lot of interviews, like now that they're retired, a lot of those guys said that they didn't like blocking for Russ because he would make their job harder if he just stayed in the pocket. You
Mm,
know, then he could have had some time. But it's almost like he was quick to like try to get outside of the pocket. Now they're just chasing the defenders everywhere. Nonetheless, he had time, more time than Geno's having right now. And these pedestrian receivers are making plays and we're winning games, and they
right.
had Doug Baldwin had every right. I mean, he had built up the credentials to say something to Deion Sanders. He could say something to Chris Carter, and what are they going to say? They can't say anything because we're winning, and they were winning all their way through their Super Bowl, getting a Super Bowl ring. So yeah, man. Oh, we got Byron Murphy. There you go. Duh. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then we
Maybe
drafted Christian Haynes in the 3rd round. We didn't have a 2nd round pick, but we needed Byron Murphy. But
yeah, we did. Why did I think we had I think that was the year before that.
no, the year before that we had we drafted Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh. So
Okay,
the
yeah,
2
that
running
was that
backs.
was the year that
So,
I was thinking of. Okay.
but
But okay, another thing, post-game interviews. I feel like I'm just rewatching interview of week after week with Mr. Mike Macdonald. He says the same thing, and a reporter questioned him and asked him, what do you say to the players after a loss like this? And he literally said, similar to what I tell you guys. We went out there, we fought hard, and we just need to fix our mistakes. And I'm like,
you ever had any friends, or maybe you and your sister, where whoever's, where you guys are kids and your parents or their parents just like, you're just screwing up, and your parents are like, listen, man, you guys gotta stop doing this shit. Here's what you're doing, here's what you should be doing, or don't do this. And then
mhm,
your friends keep doing that shit. And at some time it just becomes like they're, no matter what they're saying, their words are just falling on deaf ears. It's almost like, how many times have you been in scenarios where somebody was telling you something and you never really did it, but the moment somebody else says something, you're like, oh shit, why hasn't nobody ever said that to me? And then go back to the original person, motherfucker, I was telling you that this whole time. What do you
oh,
mean? Like,
oh yeah,
you just, I think it's to that point where Mike
right,
McDonald is just like, you're the head coach, and then you have the other coaches, you're saying stuff. And here's the thing, it's like, for, and I know it's really easy to just look at the wins and the losses and look at
mhm,
who's screwing up plays, but in my opinion, it's not so much the scheming. Okay,
mhm,
they definitely need improvement, but I cannot reiterate enough and put an emphasis on, we are just screwing ourselves up big time. Just
right,
miscues and mental errors. And so it's like, those are things that I cannot, if I'm the head coach, no matter what I say, I can't, at the end of the day, here's the play, you got to do it.
mhm,
If you do it or not, this is literally on you. You have to do this. Okay.
right,
And so he's putting people in position. For example, when we're in overtime and they get the ball first, or they get their first offensive drive. Okay. Obviously we ended up punting, then they get the ball. And then Matthew Stafford, he rolls out to the right just a little bit. We have a receiver on just a crossing route. He lobs the ball up. I mean, I want to say it was pressured. Maybe he was going to hit, but the ball's just floating. And Tariq Woolen is just sitting there, turns around, the ball's coming to him. He just sits there and waits like this. When you are in middle school, high school, they always say go back to the ball, catch the ball
Mhm.
at the highest point. And he's sitting there. This is just, I know he's beating himself up for this one. And when they
Yeah.
watch film together as a team, he's going to be hiding in the background like, oh, fuck, that was me. If he makes that play, he goes back, just take 2, 3, 4 steps back to the ball. He could catch it,
Mhm.
interception. Guess what happens? We have the ball in the 36 at that time. If he didn't run it back for a touchdown, we get the ball in the 36, which next score wins. We could have kicked the field goal and won the game right there. You know what I
Right.
mean? So there's
Yeah.
so many different ways it could have gone. So that's stuff that you can't coach. You just have to like,
Mhm. Mhm.
motherfucker, I put you in the right position. Make the goddamn play. We pay you a lot of money.
Right.
So
Right. I mean, yeah, I feel like they're just not doing the basics and not completing their jobs. I don't know if they're thinking about too many things or they're thinking too far ahead instead of reacting. Because I mean, like you said, that's what they teach you in any sport, right? Go to the ball. Basketball, go to the ball. You can't just sit there
mhm.
and wait for the ball. Like it's not gonna get to you.
To your
But like you
point,
said,
they are thinking a lot too. You can see it on
oh yeah.
like when you watch the game. It's
Hmm.
a lot of these things can be very complex to read if you're the opposing team, whether it's the defense trying to read Grubb's offense or some offense is trying to read our defense. It's really complex. Remember our game against Baltimore last year? We couldn't figure out what the hell they were doing. They freaking handed it to
Yeah.
us.
Right.
Anyways, at some point,
Hmm.
maybe you just might have to simplify it and dummy it down. Dummy it
Right.
down and just let the boys go so they're not having to think so much.
Hmm.
There's so
Maybe we're making too many changes right now instead of
could be it
sticking to
too.
the basics. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But like you said, we're beating ourselves up. We're leading the league in penalties,
Really?
which we're leading the league in penalties. I think before yesterday, we were like third, but now we're first.
Wow.
We have like 74 or 75 penalties
See,
through 9 weeks. And
at
that's costed
that
us so many yards, so many points. It's again,
mental
we're beating
errors.
ourselves up. Mental errors.
We can talk about coaching until we're blue in the face.
Mhm.
What are they saying to the players? At the end of the day, I'm not out there forcing you to false start. I'm not out there forcing you to get set before the ball is ready, or to go make an easy play where you just take 2 steps and make the game winning interception potentially.
Right.
So
Or
this is
hiking the
just,
ball over heads or stepping on
oh
people's
my God.
feet or just not being aware of where you are on the field and yeah, so I mean when it comes down to it, it's like you got to perform. You got to go out there. It's like whatever you practice should just become reaction and second nature to you too, right? So I mean, luckily we have a bye week this week. I don't know if it's good or bad that we have a bye week. I think we need a little bit of a break, but who knows? Like, hopefully during this bye week, the players are taking time to, I know they probably are all on vacation, but
If I see one person on vacation this week, I like going back to visit your family is one thing. Okay.
right.
But if I see somebody on a vacation, which I highly doubt I will, I might just F around and hang it up because I'm just like, I love the Seahawks. It's one of those like, it's like a Neo song. I hate that. I love you guys, man. It's so much, man. Like, you know, but that might just put
Right.
a fork in it right
Right.
there for me because that's at some point you can't, as a coach, you can't care enough
Right.
either. You can't care for the players.
Right.
So, um, yeah, I was just telling, we were just talking about this right before we started recording. This might just be one of those things where if I was the coach, I'd I would be, whether it's metaphorically or figuratively speaking, put all the players in a room, lock the door, and y'all gonna duke it out. Shit, maybe even throw blows in there, and we ain't gonna come out. We ain't gonna open the door till we figure this shit out. And you guys are gonna come out transformed and being held accountable to each other. And yeah, there's just oh,
We
because
need to save all their energy. That's what we need to do.
name one team in the NFC that has name the order of who has the better roster in the NFC. Who has the best? Who do you think? Roster, personnel, skill.
In the whole NFC or NFC West?
NFC West.
Oh my gosh.
In my opinion, I will say number one. Okay, you can make a case for the Niners easily being
Niners, yeah.
pound for pound. They have a
I didn't
stacked
wanna say
roster.
it.
No, it's okay. Hey, we're
I
gonna
know,
keep it a bug right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
You know, uh, but other than that, you cannot
right.
convince me that the Rams or the Cardinals have better talent on their team, and you can't convince me that they have a overall better fan base. I'll go there next too,
Right. I
and
mean,
and also and
Geno
also
Geno
yeah.
Geno gave props to our fans his last press conference because I think he was probably getting a lot of shit for what he said 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you know what? What did he do? He took accountability.
He did take
I'll
accountability
respect.
and yes.
You know why I feel bad for Geno? Let's just forget all the idiots that think he still sucks, okay? Because if y'all want to go toes right now, I could pull up film and then you'll really feel stupid because you're like, oh, he threw 3 interceptions. Let's see whose fault those really were. Okay, pull up the film.
Right.
Anyways, why I feel bad for Geno is because um, I know some of you guys listening have had these situations where you might have a sibling where you're the one who's always doing shit wrong. Then the parents come home, and this is my family when we grew up. Uh, if something was broken, we'd line up, and my parents would go right down the line. Who broke this? And every time somebody said no, oh, my parents are old school. My dad's a Marine, and we're someone too, so extra strict in my house. And we'd all get that little upside the booty, And then there were times where certain siblings in my family would take the fall for the other siblings, you know? And at some point it's like, oh man, I know one of my siblings was like, thank you for taking the fall for me on that one. That was the homie move right there. I
Mhm.
love you. I love you. But at some point, like someone just has to be like, man, I feel
Right.
I can't let Geno take the fall for me. I gotta be like, no, we freaking suck. We suck ass right now, and he is getting killed because I cannot hold my ground for a half more second. So
No.
don't let Geno fall on the blade every single fucking time when it ain't all his
Geno,
fault.
literally that entire press conference, he was like, "I'm taking accountability, like, I need to be better, I need to do this, it's like, I'm making the play calls, they trust me to do it XYZ," which I'm like, "Okay," but then you got we'll talk about that another thing later,
He
but
puts
yeah.
he puts I have to say this because I know there's gonna be people in the chat talking shit. So we're talking about these 3 interceptions. I'm just gonna nip this in the bud real quick. Interception number one. Oh my god, he threw an interception. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I love the guy. He is really good. Okay, he's really fucking good. I'm not gonna take anything away from that. Now,
Mhm.
that one first interception, everybody in high school, middle school, college always teach you when the ball's coming to you, palms out. Okay, palms out like this. Make a little diamond. The nose of the ball goes right
Mhm.
there. Okay. The one time I see him, the ball's coming straight at him. He jumps in the air. Don't get me wrong, it was a missile. Okay. He tries to freaking go like this. Okay,
Oh,
catch it. And then that ball, what does it do? It hits his chest, hits his forearm, bloom, bloom, pops up. Okay, pops straight up in the air. Interception.
yeah.
Now,
If
if
it
he
hits
went
your
like this,
chest.
second interception. Okay. If I'm going to give you one, if I'm going to give you guys calling for blood, any interception, I'll give you this one. However, Geno was rolling out left, backpedaling. Instead of being able to step into the throw to throw to the back of the end zone, he gets short arms it, hits on the way down to the ground.
Mhm.
The ball has no zip. It gets picked off for a touchdown. Okay. Whose guy was that hit him? Jarrell's all the way from the opposite end. The last pick, it was meant for AJ Barner. It was he ran a little underneath route behind the O line. They grab the defensive end number 5, grabs his left arm and turns it around. Geno threw the ball to where AJ Barner is supposed to be. It was a perfect
Mm.
throw. It was a sidearm. And then why didn't his arms come out and catch it? Because it was being held behind his back, and then it gets picked off. So in those scenarios, for the people trying to say Geno is not it, what do you guys want? You guys want Sam Howell? Did
No,
you
we need
remember
a better
Sam Howell's
O-line.
stats last week? Yeah, O
We
line.
need a
Thank you. The
better
root
O-line.
cause. Thank you, Alex. Shit, I better
You're
see you up in those
welcome.
chats too. Help me.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was MIA in the chats last week because I was in Japan. But anyways, NFC West race. In the first place, we got the Cardinals. They're coming off a win against the Bears. They crushed the Bears 9-29. And next up, they got the Jets at home. So yeah. And then the Niners, number 2. They're coming off a bye week, but they got the Bucks next in Tampa Bay. The Bucks are 4-4. That should be an interesting game, I think.
Do you think the
The Bucks are
Cardinals are the real deal
4-5
right
now.
now?
Sorry.
You think the Cardinals are the real deal? You think they're real, or do you think they're pretenders? What do you think? Contenders or pretenders?
I think they're pretenders. I think they're just taking advantage of who they're playing right now too. I think
what about the Niners right now?
I don't know. I think
What
it's
do you
hard.
mean? Don't try to filter nothing. I don't care about your relationships with certain people on that team.
Do I think they're contenders or pretenders? I think the Niners, I feel like they're contenders. I mean, Christian McCaffrey was practicing last week too, so we'll see if he actually plays this week.
They're contenders, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Rams, 4-4. They got the Dolphins next at home on Monday Night Football. Oof, Dolphins are taking it. They're going downhill right now, 2-6.
Fast.
But Rams, I don't know. Puka, he surprised me throwing punches out there last game. Puka. I was just talking about how your energy was so great. I love it. Maybe it's because he's passionate. He's just emotional and passionate. But throwing,
chill, relax. Did you see his punch? It was like the sissy. It was like, come on, Puka. If you're gonna punch somebody, make it count, dude. He's like, I've seen like face shoves way harder than that. That didn't get no flag. I was like, come on, ref. He punched him, but was it really worth ejecting him? Give him a flag. Come on, man.
No.
So
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. But I don't get why people be swinging when they're wearing hard ass helmets. But
right, that has always been even
especially
when I played
if you're a receiver,
football.
like you need your hands. You need your hands.
If you're gonna fight, do it like Andre Johnson. For those of you who don't remember him, he was receiver for the Titans. Him and Cortland Finnegan going at it. He grabbed his helmet, threw his helmet off, had him in like a hockey. You know how hockey players, they like pull a jersey over your head, bend you over, boom, in the side of the ears, just like Cortland Finnegan had no helmet. I was like, now that's how you fight in football, man.
Yeah.
Take the helmet off. You're hurting yourself more if you leave it on. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. All right. Random NFL news. The Chargers. The Chiefs. The Chargers are actually doing really, really well, but I don't want to talk about them. The Chiefs are still undefeated. They just beat the Bucks in overtime, which
just crown them already.
Anytime you get in that position with Patrick Mahomes, you kind of know what's going to happen. If you don't get the ball first, you know what's going to happen.
2 words. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
How that was like a match made in heaven. And, you know, we're
Wild.
Patty Mahomes. He's a winner. He loses his star players and still finds ways to win. And here comes DeAndre Hopkins, who after tonight, as you can see, he clearly still got it, man. Got those nice 2 tutties, big catches in triple coverage. I love it.
Speaking of tutties, let's talk about some of these celebrations that have been happening. Can we talk about this headstand?
Can you tell me where that came from? What the hell?
It came from, they were replicating this receiver who plays for the Incarnate Word. I think it's a Catholic or Christian school in Texas.
Oh,
I think it's like
school?
D3. No, I think it's college. I think it's D3. So they replicated his, and then I saw this TikTok or this meme, and they were like giving scores to each one of their headstands. London had the worst. His legs were a little spread. He needed to squeeze his inner thighs a little bit more to make it a little bit more erect, if you know what I mean. St. Brown's was great. But I also saw this TikTok, and this guy was like, he shouldn't be doing that. Kids watch football. Now kids are going to be breaking their necks in their living room. I'm like, dude, what? Like, people are so strange on the internet. I don't like it. I thought it was hilarious. I liked it. It just shows how like athletic he is to be able to just pop out a headstand like that. Because handstands and headstands are hard, people. I don't like doing them. They scare me a little bit. But it takes a lot of strength and stability to do that. So shout out to the kid.
I am a huge I like watching watching good celebrations. It adds to the entertainment aspect
I
of
love
sports.
it.
But I'm
Wait,
also one of those guys that if you are a talker like this and you're cheer like there's dancing after you score a touchdown, then you're the big play guy where you're talking, you're running your mouth. I'm also the first guy to chop your head off if you get beat deep, maybe 2 times for a touchdown. I don't know.
right. Right. Yeah, you got
Maybe
to be
for
consistent to earn that celebration right.
yeah, not to point any elbows at certain teams like the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Tariq Woolen, nice pick in the beginning, man, but didn't finish the game. We need you to finish
Yeah.
too.
Finish
But
the game. Last thing, Ezekiel Elliott was out last week because for disciplinary reasons. Apparently he's distracted, they say. Didn't show up to team meetings. And he's, his stats are the lowest he's ever had the last couple years. So yeah, I don't know. Cowboys aren't looking good. Dak just got hurt. I'm just like, okay, I wonder what's really going on. Jerry
can
Jones,
we
what are you doing over there?
just get back to the days where people, all like guys in the NFL, all they do is eat, sleep, and
Right.
drink football. You watch
Right.
film, you don't go home, you don't go running back to the crib and jump on Call of Duty or Madden. Just can we just play Smash Mouth football like the good
Yeah.
old days, like when Sean Alexander was a running back? I wore
Mm,
this jersey for a reason tonight because we keep talking
right.
about the O line. Let's invest in the O line that, Sean
Please.
Alexander was really good, really good. However, ask anybody on that team, ask Lofa, who's the leader of our all day family. Ask anybody, would he have been that good without that O line from Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson, Robbie Tobeck, Sean
Right.
Locklear, Floyd Womack, that whole. Let's invest, like you said earlier, get some O linemen in there.
Let's invest in some O linemen. Talk. It's been that talk for how many years now? So let's put it into action. Mr. Schneider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good old line can make anybody look good, whether you're running back or you're Sam Donald, who has the luxury to stand tall in that pocket and make 3 reads many times this last week. Oh my God, can we just have half the time he had? Please.
Half the time would make such a difference.
Yep.
All right.
Anyways.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know I'm looking a little rough today, but I'm literally off of 2 hours of sleep.
I appreciate you guys for tuning in because the reality is nobody wants to talk football. If you're like me, I don't like watching anything having to do with football when my team loses. But hey, we're here. The real fans will be here through the good times, the bad times. I saw something nice. It was actually really cool with Washington. Somebody posted and it went viral all over for the Commanders.
Awesome.
If you weren't here when we were like, it showed all their losing records from like all the way back from RG3, Donovan McNabb, losing records the whole time. Now, we don't want you here. If you weren't here with us when back then, we don't want you now. I was like, ooh, I love that.
Yes.
I'll be jumping on the bandwagon.
Keep the vibes, everybody. Keep the vibes. Oh, we got a special guest. Everybody, this is Dee Dee. Dee. She's a Hawks fan.
Hide your dogs. That's cutie. What is that? Mini pincher? What is that?
She's a little Chihuahua mix.
Oh, okay.
She just came from bed.
Big Chihuahua. Damn.
She's 16 pounds, pure muscle. But yes, keep the vibes going, everybody. I know we're in a low vibe situation right now with the Seahawks, but take this bye week, sage your house, sage your TVs, sage your energy, because we got the Niners when we return.
Relax. They'll turn the corner.
Everybody,
they'll turn
meditate.
the corner.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. My name is Alex, and that's Josiah. We'll catch y'all later.
Yes, sir.
Bye.